Hello, everyone. This isn't actually part of the podcast. This is just me telling anyone that's listening that you are listening to the first episode of Jump on the Bat-Wagon. This is a new podcast that we're putting out. This is not replacing 12th Level Intellects, which is also going to be coming back pretty soon. I know I keep saying pretty soon, but it's actually pretty soon, I promise. But this is a second podcast now. You'll learn what it is very quickly. This little intro I'm doing is not going to be part of the actual first episode, which you can find on the PODTOWER YouTube channel. That will also be the home of any future episode of this podcast. So after this opening episode, you're not going to find Jump on the Bat-Wagon on the Watchtower database. It's going to be on the PODTOWER. A link to that is in the description below, as well as links to every other place where you can stream this podcast. It's technically on Spotify for sure, but it's supposed to also be on Apple Podcasts and Google and like 6 other places. I won't know until it actually debuts. For me, that's in the morning, like tomorrow, but for you, it's right now. So, just keep refreshing the description of this video. I'll be popping in links to the places where you can stream it as it happens, as they become populated. I'm rambling because I don't know what to say here. Oh my God, are you enjoying the podcast so far? Okay, here comes the actual podcast. I hope you enjoy. We're having a lot of fun doing this. We've already recorded several episodes for you. I'm excited. Okay. Have fun. Goodbye. Hey. If you're listening to this, I'm sorry.
I feel like I already messed up because you said hey. I thought you were saying hey to me.
Oh, no.
I forgot that there was an audience.
You think this is a conversation, do you?
I did. Is that not what podcasts are?
I have no idea what podcasts are. I haven't done this before.
You kind of have.
I was hoping you would know.
I listen to a lot of podcasts.
So who are we, and what is this? You probably know me.
I know you. You're Jamie.
Mufasa's little stooge. Yeah, I'm James from the Watchtower database. That's my entire personality. And you are?
I'm Brian, and I have no idea. I have like the first idea, I guess, about the Batman animated series because I've been watching the Watchtower database videos for a long time, but I didn't watch them while growing up. I haven't watched them now. So when I watch one of your
Watchtower
videos,
database while you were growing up?
Yeah, I framed that weird, didn't I?
I'm also realizing, listen.
What?
That's my seat. Makes a lot of sounds.
But only when you're doing that. If you just sit like a human.
If I don't rock back and forth like an asshole, then it's fine.
Yeah. I realize that we're going to have a bit of an issue like right from the start, though. I mean, besides the fact that we currently don't have a name for this.
Yes.
Which is an interesting problem to have when you're starting a podcast.
Yes.
But we have a goal, dear listener, that we are going to have a name before episode 2. So hopefully by the end of episode 1.
2, that's a hefty goal.
I know. But I realized that like I have this weird tendency from all the time that we spent together, like shooting for your movie.
Yeah, we should probably explain who you are.
Yeah, I'm a guy.
This is Brian. This is my friend Brian. We met at a job a few years ago.
Yes.
I'm sure that job will come up several times on this podcast. Brian and I have had a professional relationship since then.
Strictly professional.
Yes, we're not friends. I do not like this man whatsoever.
You definitely did not drive 4 hours out of your way to come here.
That's only because you drove like 9 to 12 hours every other week to help me film my movie in 2019.
Yeah.
So I think this makes up for it completely, and I'll never have to do this again. But we're going to be, now that we're 2.5 minutes into the podcast, we're going to, what's going on with this is, I'm sure this is going to be a lot of this kind of thing where we're just kind of bullshitting and talking, but we're going to be watching the entire DC animated universe from the start. Brian has, like he mentioned, essentially never seen any of this. He's probably caught a few episodes of all the shows here and there, not on purpose, like just watching TV as a human being. You've probably seen some of these shows a couple of times.
I mean, I know who the Batman is.
Who is he?
Bruce? Bruce
I
Wayne.
mean, Bruce. That's his name.
But now you got me second guessing myself.
Yeah. Well, you'll find out everything you need to know about the Batman because we're not watching the cartoon The Batman. We're watching the cartoon Batman the Animated Series to start with. That's the first episode of this. We're going to be watching all of these in Airdate order, which I should probably say from the start here because it's not the typical way to watch these shows.
And if you're familiar at all with James,
Yeah.
you would know that he doesn't do things in a typical fashion.
No, it's quite atypical
Yes.
fashion. The order, Brian is going to be stifling. We're going to be making really highbrow jokes this whole podcast, and I have access to the button the entire time. So
If you have access to that button, I feel like there's 8 shiny multicolored
you
buttons
can have
here.
this green one whenever we make a bad joke.
No.
You don't want the...
I just don't think it's a good idea to give me that much power.
well, what button do you want?
Probably the one that mutes me. Should I just like... That's good, right?
No.
No?
No, you sound terrible now.
Oh.
Well, I guess we can leave it like that.
That sounds... Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear you talk anyway.
I don't think they're coming here for me.
I'm glad you're talking louder than normal so that it gets fixed.
I can hear just a little bit of me.
I purposely... Yeah,
You
okay.
did.
So anyway...
Do
what-
I call you James or Jamie? Can we like get that
I don't
situated
care.
from the
You
start?
can call me whatever you want.
Because I feel like people know you as James. Mm-hmm. Or like James St.
But
Wrecker or something like
you've
that.
called me... Yeah, James St. Wrecker. That's right. That's my name.
I don't know where the Jamie thing started.
I don't know. You probably just said it.
And now it's stuck, and I have a hard time calling you James because I'm like, no, you're Jamie. And even earlier, when we're talking to the housemates about you coming over, they thought that your wife's name was Jamie, and Adam was like, James and Jamie.
I think
no.
Kimmy's mom thought my name was Jamie because I
Yeah.
introduced myself, and she's like, "Oh yeah, Kimmy said Jamie was coming over." Anyway, we're going to be watching DC Animated Universe in Airdate order. The reason why we're doing this in Airdate order is because I want Brian to experience all of this the way that we all experienced it, or at least us old guys experienced it on TV growing up. Saturday morning cartoons, rushing to the TV to watch Batman, Superman, Justice League, Batman Beyond, all the good stuff. The other ones, Static Shock, Zeta Project,
The Superman.
The Superman.
The Zeta. I know about Zeta only because it's like this trope
Yeah,
on Watchtower
it's a meme,
database. Yeah.
Wait, what did you say that Batman's name was?
The Batman?
No. It, like,
Bruce Wayne?
no. Well, yeah, but you said like it's a Bruce or something. What did you say? It's a me, Brucio.
Can you rewind
no.
5 minutes?
No. So, but this is going to be, by doing this in Airdate order, this is going to come up against some kind of fun in quotation marks, issues, because as we will find out today, we are starting the podcast with the episode The Cat and the Claw, Part 1. It was the first episode of Batman to air in 1992. We'll go over all of I have it all listed out, the actual air dates, who directed the episode, all that stuff that we can talk about. But it is not the first... was that your stomach?
That was my stomach.
It was not the first produced episode of Batman. It was, I think, like the 14th episode or something like that.
But they aired it first.
Yes, because...
They're just like, we're going to do this. We're going out with a bang. It's
Yeah.
not even going to be a Batman.
Guess what? You missed 13 episodes. Take it or leave it. The Batman Returns movie had just come out, and it had Catwoman in it. And so to
Those cheeky
capitalize
fuckers.
on this, yeah, they're like, well, the Catwoman episode, surely we should do that one first so that the kids watch the show. And the best part about this, we're not going to get to part 2 of that for several weeks because they aired The Cat and the Claw Part 1 and then like 6 or 7 more episodes before finally airing The Cat and the Claw Part 2.
Wow.
So this is going to, especially the Batman cartoon, is going to be a ride for you. And I say all this, I don't think it's going to be a problem because I think it'll be more of a fun experience and adventure to do it this way, because there's going to be times like you will feel my pain watching these. I'll spoil not anything to do with the shows, but
Don't you spoil a
an
damn
upcoming
thing.
problem that we're going to have is when we get to Justice League, there is an episode where Lex Luthor forms a group of supervillains to take down the Justice League, and that was like the fourth episode, but didn't air till like another 3 or 4 episodes later. after an episode that followed up that episode. And so everybody was just super confused, like, what is going on? Who are they talking about? Lex Luthor? He hasn't even been on this show yet. All because they were trying to time the release of the first episode with a video game that performed terribly. So stuff like that is going to happen throughout this whole thing. And
So it's like the Firefly dynamic.
yeah.
They
Yes.
just aired it completely out of
Yes.
sync or out of order, and people are just supposed to know.
Yeah. So we're going to come up against that kind of stuff, and I think it'll be interesting both to see how confused you are sometimes, but also just once the confusion is solved several episodes later, then you can like understand like, oh man, must have sucked for 10-year-old James and that kind of thing. So
I wonder
yeah.
if at any point I'm gonna get like furious, if I'm just gonna be
I hope so.
screaming at the television or the microphone after we watch.
Who's
the
Lex
episode.
Luthor?
I know he's the bald guy.
Yeah, he's Mr. Krabs' voice.
Oh no,
Clancy Brown. Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I mean, he doesn't sound like Mr. Krabs the whole time, but there's a couple times you can hear Mr. Krabs kind of voice. I'll say this is like, other than those problems, watching stuff in Airdate order is my preferred. Okay, watching series in Airdate order in terms of like, this show came out before this one is my preferred way to watch stuff like this. So like Star Trek, for instance, I'm not going to watch these shows made in the early 2000s that take place before the Captain Kirk original show and then watch the original 1960s show, because that's not how human beings experienced Star Trek. Like, I want to watch it exactly how a human being would have experienced Star Trek. Knowing these problems exist with the DCAU with that stuff, if I am ever going to do that myself, I will purposely fix those things. Like I'll watch the 2-parters back to back. I'll watch the Lex Luthor episode in the right place and that kind of stuff. But other than that, like, Batman Beyond takes place decades in the future, but I'm not going to watch it after everything else. I'm going to watch it when it came out, because to me, that's the best like flow of the story. They can look back at Batman Beyond. What did we do in that show? Now let's do this kind of thing instead of, I don't know. Maddie disagrees with me on this because
Maddie would.
Yeah, right. Maddie's a person that works on the Watchtower database with me. I love you, Maddie.
And also on a couple occasions your movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is how I know him.
Yes. But anyway, yeah. So that's what we're doing. Now that we've wasted 11 minutes of the listeners' time, we should probably watch the first episode. What I'd like to do, is I want to read you the name. Well, I already kind of told you that this one has Catwoman in it, but I want to read you the name of the episode and have you predict what the episode will be about just based on the name of the episode.
Oh, that's great.
And then when we get done with the episode, I want you to describe to me what actually happened in the episode, and we will compare that to the official TV guide synopsis and give that kind of a score, because some of these synopses are just awful and or give away the entire plot of the thing. My original idea was to read that to you first and then to give you a little tease, because I was constantly following the TV guide stuff like, ooh, what episode's coming next? But then some of these just list everything that happens in the episode.
Oh, wow.
So like I said, this one, the first episode that we're watching, it is the 13th episode produced. I'm sorry, I got that wrong before. I'm a fake fan.
Points off.
But it's the first episode aired. It's called The Cat and the Claw Part 1. What do you think this episode will be about?
Well, I'm just going out on a limb here. I'm going to say it's going to be about Catwoman.
Yeah, that's half of it.
Okay, good. So I at least get a score of 50. That's all right. I'm going to guess that it's a Spider-Man thing, and she's going to come across a radioactive cat that's going to scratch her, and then she's going to have like a bad like fever dream night and wake up and be like, I am the cat.
That's the claw part of this, is the scratching?
Yeah, the scratching.
Okay.
The claw. Let me...
It's the Inspector Gadget villain, the Claw.
That's the cat and the claw. I mean, is it just a clever?
Well, I guess we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's Catwoman coming into her own. That's my prediction.
Okay. Well, we're going to go watch the episode now.
Come up with a name for the podcast.
Maybe. Or if you're listening to this and find yourself listening to several more episodes of this podcast and we still haven't figured out a name for it, write in and tell us what you'd like the name to be. Podcast@watchtowerdatabase.com.
Oh, is there a website already?
I mean, I'll make it after we record this.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Mr. Wayne, my secretary, Maven.
How do you do? Please, Bruce, I'm very flattered.
Please understand, it's purely for the animals, Mr. Wayne. You're off the hook.
But you're not.
I beg your pardon.
You bought a date, and I'm honor-bound and delighted to deliver. I warn you, I'm not a man who gives up easily.
All right. Lunch, then.
I wonder what's going on. Oh, where'd he go?
Welcome back.
Or
should I say, welcome back. Oh!
Yeah.
Ayo.
So, Brian, we just watched the first episode of Batman the Animated Series,
Yes,
The Cat
we
in
did.
the Claw Part 1.
Yes.
What did you think?
I'm really hung up on Yoppie foods.
Yeah, so there's
was-
a shot, because this is not a reference even I would have gotten had you. There's a shot of Commissioner Gordon standing in an alleyway, like talking to Batman, and there's just a sign on a building that says, I think it says Yoppie Foods, Yoppie.
Yes.
And we've made a joke that we should just call the podcast. You're like, call the podcast Yoppie Foods. We're like, Yoppie Dudes. So I don't think we're gonna call it that because that doesn't make any sense, and nobody is gonna understand what that is.
We understand what that is.
Yeah. What do you do for what's on the new PodTower channel? Oh, well, we got we got all the backlogs of the streams, and we got our new podcast, Yoppie Dudes. What does that mean? Well, you see, in the first episode, Commissioner Gordon is standing in an alleyway.
But it's so like there has to be that. That was probably like a you and I level of inside joke between like
Yeah.
Bruce Timm or whoever animated that.
Yeah, maybe.
Like
yeah,
they're
there
like,
must-
oh,
yeah.
because it was just
Yeah,
so
what is
intentional.
Yoppie?
Like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
walks in and it's just so perfectly framed over him, and
Yeah.
it just you can't avoid.
I mean, that was, of
seeing it.
course, the most memorable part of the episode, the most talk-aboutable. So let's see. So your prediction of the claw aspect of the title being having to do with cat claws, technically, is not incorrect.
Yeah.
I mean, the title card came up even, and it's
It had the little
a
claw marks.
claw marks across a face. So you were good. But what did it actually turn out to be, Brian?
It turned out to be not radioactive cat claws.
Yes.
Though there was a cat with some really interesting. Oh, maybe it was though.
What?
The cat that had laser seeing.
Yeah, laser
vision.
sight, laser vision, but not in the traditional way, where you can see lasers but not actually fire them from your eyes. Yeah.
But it turned out to be this foreboding, I guess, antagonist. Because I kind of thought at the start that like Catwoman's an antagonist. She was kind of a bad guy, and I guess she kind of is. Probably in the same way that Batman's also kind of a bad guy.
Kind of rides the line of
Yeah.
either a villain or an anti-hero or an ally
Yeah.
or whatever, which will be, of course, the more Catwoman episodes that come up, the more that'll become apparent. But yeah, I mean, I'm like, DCAU dude, but even some of these like earlier Batman the Animated Series episodes, I've only seen a Yoppie dude. Is that what you're about? He just has a smile creepy across his face the whole time. Like, I know what this guy is.
Oh, thank you for saying. I was trying so hard to hold that back.
I'm just a Yoppie dude. But, no, so even some of these early Batman episodes, I've only seen a handful of times. So like a lot of the stuff in this episode, it wasn't like I know exactly what's coming up next kind of a deal. Like, I laughed when the dude is crawling through the Yoppie dude is crawling through the air vent or
The
whatever.
air duct.
Yeah, and he gets the little sharp cat stuck in his arms, and then he just looks forward and the whole ground is covered in them. Like, I forgot that was a thing.
How could you?
Yeah,
that was a pivotal part. That
It really was.
That was
yeah.
her getaway
It's
moment.
the linchpin of the entire timeline.
Yes.
yeah.
Go back and redo all the Watchtower stuff.
I guess I should say from the start is the timeline of this show is so sporadic in terms of its what do you mean? Oh, you're moving stuff. Great foresight to mute yourself before you moved the microphone.
I'm a professional.
Yeah, and 5-sight also, and laser sight,
Laser viewing.
laser vision. You have to emphasize like it's not what you think. Anyway, Batman the Animated Series has like the loosest continuity timeline kind of stuff, which makes this Airdate watching order workable because even though that's the 13th episode produced, it didn't feel like, oh, I'm missing something. Like there's no, at least I assume anyway.
It was a weird introduction for me.
Yeah.
Like we're kind of like getting into Catwoman and then women. Did I say women?
I think you said woman.
Okay,
I'm not
good.
going to rewind and check. I'm not going to check.
And like I felt like it was a really weird introduction to Batman. Actually, it's just kind of like, oh, he's here and he's kind of like halfway in through his like bad puns kind of like personality.
The first shot that he's in is just a like tilt up to the building and there's Batman. There's no like, oh my God, or like cool, dramatic reveal or anything. And I think he says like, our new cat burglar's a woman.
Yeah, it was
like,
kind of weirdly
hi
sexist.
Batman. yeah. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
I think that's the thing. It becomes a really weird introduction where like the first thing you learn about the guy is like, and it's not like, oh, I didn't see that coming. It's more like, oh, she's a woman.
Yeah, and then his like very strange, well, you paid for the date, so I mean, are we gonna do this or what? Like, I will take no for an answer. Grabbing her arm.
In
and
no
stuff.
uncertain terms, is he not forcing himself upon this? Did I just like triple negative?
No, I know what you
Anyway,
mean. Yeah.
thank you.
There's going to be a handful of times throughout this show in particular where borderline sexist or just uncomfortable moments like that are going to happen. Everybody talks about the DCAU shows being so timeless and like they never age and everything. Well, not talking about the aesthetics. I'm talking about like, just how the characters act and how, there's not a lot of like, they were progressive and all this stuff, which to an extent is the case later. Okay. But I would say that a lot of these early Batman episodes are like, there's a couple of things like that with the Selena Kyle at the party. I'm getting a little ahead though because I want to read you what the actual
right.
Let's talk about. Okay, so this is Batman the Animated Series.
Yes, Cat in the Claw.
Yes,
Act
the Cat
1.
in the Claw Part 1. This aired on Saturday, September 5th, 1992, at 10 a.m. on Fox Kids.
September of 1992.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say is it would be interesting to think of what we were doing. I was probably learning how to walk.
I would have been on my summer. Oh no, I guess I would have been back in school, probably just entering third grade. I was probably starting to learn multiplication.
Damn.
Yeah,
you were way ahead of me.
Oh man,
this is a 40-year-old man we're talking to here on the podcast.
40.
Yeah.
Don't put me where I'm still in the 30-something category. Thank you very much.
Tell us your exact age, Brian.
26 and a half.
No, plus a decade.
Oh my God, you're right. No.
Well,
when did that happen?
I just turned 30 the other day. So anyway, yes, this was.
Oh wait, hold on. Was it?
There you go. There's my boy, my Yoppie dude. So this was written. The story was written by Sean Catherine Derrick and Laren Bright, two names I've never heard of.
I thought that was one name, like
Sean Catherine Derrick, Laren Bright. It's hyphenated, constantly. The teleplay, the actual script, was written by Jules Dennis and Richard Mueller. Also names I don't know. I apologize if any of those people ever listen to this podcast or that we interviewed them or something, and I don't know who that is. If your name's not in the like first 3 lines of the closing credits, I probably don't know who you are, and I'm sorry. But directed by Kevin Altieri, who is one of the like OG Bruce Timm level producers on the show. He's like helpfully responsible for. Oh no. I'm getting him mixed up with Eric Radomski. I'm a fake fan. I'm a fucking idiot.
Oh my God. How could you get
I'm
those
so
two
sorry.
mixed up?
Yeah.
Because
Kevin Altieri is the writer, director on the show.
okay. So
and
who's the producer?
Bruce Timm and Eric Radomski are like the head dudes of Batman the Animated Series.
Okay. These are names like I'm going to need to remember. Like I know Bruce Timm from the Watchtower videos.
Yeah. I mean, Bruce
That's
Timm
it.
carries on through now as just like go-to DC animation guy. But a lot of people will cite like Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. Those are the guys that made Batman the Animated Series when there's so many other less household names or whatever that are responsible for some of the coolest aspects of the show. But yeah, so directed by Kevin Altieri, who is not Eric Radomski. The actual TV guide description synopsis for this episode.
Give it to me.
The Catwoman steals a valuable necklace to fund the purchase of land for a mountain lion preserve. In the course of her escape, she encounters Batman and finds herself undeniably attracted to him. Afterward, Bruce Wayne dates Selina Kyle, Catwoman's alter ego, and finds himself undeniably attracted to her. In the midst of these budding romances, Selina/Catwoman learns that the land she wants has been snatched up by a mysterious cartel, although the cartel's reasons for buying it don't make sense. After infiltrating the cartel's headquarters, Catwoman discovers evidence of a military facility inside a mountain on the land in question. As it turns out, the cartel is fronting for an international terrorist group headed by the Red Claw, a mysterious woman terrorist. The group will be using the land for a staging area. Batman learns that Catwoman is getting in over her head, although she's not aware of it. That's the entire episode, Brian.
There is, which actually I'm glad you read that because I realized that the whole like opening scene of her like going in using her claw things and like sending her laser seeing cat into that place to steal that necklace. I realized that they never actually, unless I've like somehow blocked it out, they never actually talked about like her acquiring that to get the land. Like I thought it was just like she was stealing a necklace.
Yeah, I didn't.
Did
really
they ever
make that
cover
connection either? No,
So
they probably did, but we were just talking.
We
We were
talked
talking
a bit,
about
but I
Yoppie
feel like I was-
foods and whatever. We were just
That's what it was.
yeah.
Commissioner Gordon's like, oh, she stole that necklace to buy some land to save the mountain lions. Also, why would the Red Claw not want to save the mountain lions? I feel like that's like kinfolk. She's got kind of like the big cat tattoo.
Well, yeah,
cat
the
print
Red
tattoo.
Claw. I am 99.9% sure these two episodes are the only time she ever shows up in anything. Like even past this show, like this is just a one-off character, and so there is no like backstory, real motivation or anything for this character. She's just bad.
Also, why is she wearing her outfit, you think?
Why is she wearing her?
I mean, like, I
I thought
feel
you were
like,
gonna say how, because it's draped over like one shoulder, but not falling off of her constantly.
I mean, like, tailors can do some cool
Yeah,
things,
that's true.
but I feel like, you know, they're having this meeting and she's just like in her full like war outfit.
Supervillain outfit.
Yeah, like Batman like does the Batman thing. He puts his stuff on. Like Catwoman apparently does the like one version or other of like getting her outfit on or off. And like this chick's just like not expecting a fight, but she comes like out of her little like wall safe thing and is just like, I am ready.
Yeah. Yeah, she's just been standing behind that wall for a while. I guess we should say, like, anybody listening to this, it's probably recommended that you have already seen these episodes and aren't trying to...
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's not that you're going to, like, oh, I've never seen Batman, I'll also be along for the ride with these guys. Like, you can, but I would, if you're gonna, then also watch the episode before you listen to the podcast about that episode.
We should probably start off each episode being like, hey, watch this first if you want. If you've seen it already, just listen to...
We're learning as we go here.
Yeah, we are. What's the podcast called, James?
Yoppie. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see, the cast of this episode. Kevin Conroy as Batman. He'll be Batman forever. That's also a movie. Bob Hastings is credited as just Gordon.
Oh.
What are these sounds? Things are sliding around and falling all around us. Did you hear that?
No. What?
What are you doing?
I'm not doing anything. Continue.
Okay.
It's the ghosts.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when Commissioner Gordon appeared, you're like, oh, it's Gordon. And I like sort of had to like stifle a snicker because there's most episodes he's credited by his full name, but this one is just Gordon.
He wasn't commissioner yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Nor was he private or
a detective or
deputy
whatever.
or anything like that. He was just Gordon.
We got Adrienne Barbeau as Catwoman, who I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you've ever seen the Swamp Thing movie from the 80s. I'm pretty sure she is the chick in Swamp Thing.
Oh.
If that means anything to you.
No.
Herb Edelman is Stern. Is that the leader? Is that the CEO dude that they're talking to, maybe?
I don't recall his name, so
I
maybe.
don't either.
That's a good assumption.
We got Kate Mulgrew is Red Claw. She plays Captain Janeway on Star Trek Voyager, if that means anything. There's going to be a handful of things like that where I'm just going to know, like, this person was also in this other nerdy thing. Is that ringing any bells, Brian? You're going to be like,
That is me.
Yeah. We got Mary McDonald Lewis as Maven. That was Catwoman's like secretary lady.
And she played that other character.
No, I don't know
show.
anything about her.
Oh no, she's in my universe of actors who I know.
She's in show.com.
Yes.
TVshow.net.
TVshow.gov.
Okay. And then we have additional voices by Neil Ross and Frank Welker. Frank Welker is a Ruby Roo.
For real?
He's Shaggy on Scooby. I'm just kidding. Well, he is Fred on Scooby-Doo also.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
I only have 2 things of trivia for this episode. I kind of went around and either grabbed stuff off of either the DCAU wiki or IMDb or my own brain if stuff was in either place.
Awesome.
But there's only a couple things. But we kind of talked about this at the start. Is that this was not the first episode produced, but the first aired to capitalize on the hype of Batman Returns. So that's one of the things. And then the only other thing I found that was interesting was that Catwoman is blonde to also mimic Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman Returns. She's not typically blonde. She's usually has like dark brown or black hair.
See, that's what I remember, and I was a little surprised to see the blonde thing. Do you know if they colored that after the fact? To be like, oh, we got to go back and change her hair color for the movie.
I don't think it was as part of the production for this episode, but there's behind the scenes stuff of like Bruce Timm had already designed, or whoever designed the characters had designed Catwoman and Penguin already. I forgot to bring my water over here. And
did you? I thought you grabbed it.
You can hear me talk if you go get it for me. So they'd already designed Catwoman and Penguin, but they needed to redesign them once Warner Brothers was like, hey, this movie, Penguin looks like Danny DeVito. Can you make Penguin look like Danny DeVito? And they're like, but that's not what we wanted to do. And they're like, well, tough shit, dude.
Hollywood strikes again. Yeah. Oh my God.
Because they brought Bruce Timm to the set of Batman Returns and like had him sit there and like while they were filming just sketch what the characters looked like so that they could change what they were already doing to look like that.
I kind of feel bad for him. Like I have this impression in my head of them sitting him in a corner and be like, draw them.
Yeah,
this is what your characters
Danny
look
DeVito,
like.
Asshole. You will.
Did he ever talk about that? Because like I wonder if that's like, I'm sure he wanted to get through and like produce the show the way that he wanted to. But it's also a really interesting thought to have like them being like, well, you want to make your show, or you can do it our way.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of politics with Tim Burton. Like DC or WB really wanted Tim Burton to be involved with the production of Batman the Animated Series and be like really hands-on and all this stuff. But they had already figured out the kind of like tone they wanted to go for, the aesthetic they wanted to go for. They were already, designing characters and experimenting with like all the backgrounds are airbrushed onto black paper so that there's like always black in everything, and they just add the color from there instead of like the reverse, which gives it that kind of dark, constantly gothic look
because
to
the
everything.
Dark Knight.
Yeah, you get it.
I know, I'm a professional.
It's that kind of constant dark night to the show. Just that constant yoppiness that we all look for. But and then they're like, well, they were very frustrated to be told that Tim Burton was going to be part of it, and then eventually that was not a thing that they were forced to do. Like,
does Tim Burton have a producing credit? Do you know?
I think,
or consulting maybe.
I think maybe like an executive producer sort of thing on at least like this first season or something. But I mean, they used the Danny Elfman Batman theme from the movie as the cartoons theme and stuff like that.
That was another question: is if Danny Elfman did the music?
He's credited as composing the theme song, but I think it's just arranged by the composer Shirley Walker for the show, but from his composition for the movie. So it's still like credited as Danny Elfman because of that, but it's not ever really used in the show itself. There's a couple of times where you'll hear it, but you'll mostly hear Shirley Walker's original Batman theme instead.
Which I mean, it's cool. Like for me, that was one of the things that I picked up on.
What are these sounds?
There's a tree over your head, and there's branches, scratches on.
Okay, well that's part of the podcast, everybody. If you want, if you're like, am I gonna die? It's actually the ceiling in here.
I'm hoping that the microphones aren't picking it up. They probably are a little bit, but maybe before we record next time, I'll go up there and I'll trim
He won't.
some.
Don't worry, everybody. He's not gonna do that.
I'm gonna get on the roof and I'm gonna risk my life to make your audio qualities better. Anyway, back to like the art. That was something that I was really actually impressed by, and I didn't expect to be so impressed with the art.
That's something that
really
came up several times when we were watching it. Was either the detail or just the like there's a whole car chase scene, Batman on the roof of the car, and a couple times you're like, oh wow, oh man, and stuff like that. It's like cars are smashing into walls and stuff. Like, just I think that's something I didn't expect to hold up as well as it does, I guess.
I think the other thing for me, just being like such an analog nerd as I am. By the way, everyone, we're recording this straight to tape. There's like no digital.
That's what those clunks are. Is the machinery.
We're changing over the tape.
Yeah. Please flip over to side B. When you hear this sound, you'll know it's time to turn the page. Anyway, sorry.
And if you're under 30, I'm sorry that you're not going to get that.
Yep.
But yeah, I love the fact that like you could tell that these were individually, painted cells, and like there's a lot of work that went into making the art and the music. Because the same thing with the score, you can just hear there's like a room full of people on like brass and strings making the stuff happen, and it's.
I didn't know this until we interviewed Dan Reba, who's another director on this show, who's also not Eric Radomski.
Oh,
but I didn't think he was. That's 3 people now, if you're counting at home. When we interviewed Dan Reba last year, he brought up how they had like $250,000 budget per episode on this show, and I had no idea.
In the early 90s.
Yeah. That like because of the success of the Tim Burton Batman movies, they were just throwing money at this show. That's
feel
why,
like
they have a full orchestra on the music. They have like the animation budget is so much higher than anything that was going on at the time. Like, it looks a little dated now.
Yet they couldn't animate Batman's mouth. Yeah. See, now I'm actually, it's funny. I went from really appreciating the artwork, and now I feel like I'm going to be super fucking critical. Yeah. You're like, they couldn't really, for $250,000, they couldn't have made Batman's mouth move when he said that one line.
Or when Catwoman's falling through the air, one shot, there's little lines coming
off
her
when
claws.
her claws are cutting the air. And then the rest of the show, they're like, that was too much work to put those lines in. $250,000, people. Come on. Yeah. That's 1992 money.
Yeah.
Might as well be $3 billion. Yeah. Okay, what's next?
I don't know. There's not really a structure to this in terms of, talking about specific, and we're not going to talk about like animation and then music and then this thing. I just kind of want to flow,
Let's just flow.
Is there anything else that stood out to you as like either really cool or really bad? Because we don't have to pump these up. We can talk trash about them as much as we want to. Like, I don't care.
Wait, who's paying us? Is the studio paying us?
I'm paying me. I don't know about.
Do I have to pay me?
You have to pay me also.
Oh, do I Venmo you? What's your Venmo handle?
Patreon.com/DCAU Watchtower.
I already put money there.
Folks, if you see Mark Thundercroc in the Patreon list, that's Brian. I have to manually change his name every single video.
Oh, do you really?
Because I just copy the spreadsheet off of Patreon, And
Oh
then
my
I have
God.
to sort it by A to Z, and then find Brian Maneely, change it to Mark Thundercrock, and then sort it by A to Z again, and then copy pasted it to the video. I waste that 10 seconds for you every video.
Wow. Should I do more now? Should I contribute more?
Makes 5 other accounts, and then I have to change all of those every time.
Yes. Too. Okay. I can make more work for you. You don't do enough.
The reason his name is Mark Thundercrock on there is because, I don't really know the reason for sure, but he's in my phone as Mac Thundercock. And I thought, I don't think I could put that in the video every time. So I was asking him what he preferred, and we just changed it to a little more vanilla version of Mac Thundercock, you know? So.
Is it still?
Yeah, whenever you call me, my phone rings as Mac Thundercock or Brian Maneely. Like, it doesn't know for sure.
Oh, really?
Like, it gives two possible options. Yeah.
When you call, a picture of your foot still pops up on my phone.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyone listening, you don't get that picture of my foot. You don't get to have the access to my feet.
So find me on social media, everybody, and I will send you that photo of James's foot.
What else is there to talk about with this episode?
James's foot.
No, we're getting off of that topic.
Jamie's foot.
There we go.
Yeah.
Can I call you Mark the whole time? Mac?
What if we just do like Mac and Jamie do a podcast?
And that's neither of our actual names.
I wonder if it was the whole like McNeely thing.
It might. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, at the job that we worked at together.
We're not going to talk about that place.
No,
right?
we're not. But we are going to. It just comes up.
We should have a name for it that's not actually the name for it, because like, we should in no way be promoting that terrible place.
We'll call it. What's a synonym?
That would be too close, especially if you say synonym. Just to
Okay.
let it off.
Well, Big Bus. When Brian and I worked at Big Bus together, they would call our names over the intercom to come to the HR office sometimes, and they would just get Brian Maneely wrong every time, like Brian McNeely or Brian Nielsen or some
There was
weird...
one time that it was so far off that I was like, "Oh, that one's not me," because it wasn't even like.
I think that one was where the Mac came from. It was like,
but it was like I think the Brian was also wrong.
yeah, but it was always the same guy making the announcement.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he didn't know your name.
Yeah, it was some like Byron Nielsen or something. I'm like, that's not me.
I'm not Byron.
And then I think they called it like 2 or 3 times, and then like.
You
called
and
my
I
name
are
or
like,
something.
is that
Yeah.
supposed to be you? Yeah.
Oh, those were not the days. Those were some terrible days.
No.
Anyway,
Yeah. Let's see.
Big
We talked
boss.
about the animation.
we talked about the animation. We talked a little bit about the storyline.
Yeah. I'd like to do like you explain the entire story of the episode before I read you the TV guide thing. So be prepared for that.
Okay. So I should take notes.
No, just remember we just watched it 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes, 30 minutes ago.
26 minutes and 50 seconds ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, but it was probably another 15 seconds before then. So.
Probably, yeah, to walk across the
Who
room.
can math?
Not I.
No, I can't either.
What else happens in a cartoon? Is there anything else we should talk about, or I think we pretty much covered it? I don't know.
Let's see. Well, we have it was a cliffhanger. It was one hell of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, and you're not gonna find out what happens in part 2 till we're recording several episodes of this today, but then I'm gonna go away for like a month and come back to record more. And I think it might be the second session that we see part 2. I thought, my lack of watching these episodes recently enough, I for some reason thought that part 1 ended with Red Claw in the map room. Oh, that was a cool animation thing, was the map light.
Oh, the map across her face was awesome.
The projector light like wrapping around her and stuff, yeah. But I thought that when Catwoman comes up on their security cameras, and the like cameras zooming in all ominously on her, I thought that was where it was going to say to be continued, and I thought this was a really short episode, but that was only like halfway through the episode, so it makes sense.
No, that was where the commercial break was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt it interesting because it was like it ended on that cliffhanger, which okay, that makes sense. But it also kind of felt like it started at a cliffhanger. Like we were talking about earlier, how it started with a weird just at a weird place. Like you didn't really get those like classic character introductions, which I'm expecting when we get to the first produced.
The real first episode.
Episode. I expect that to be like, aha, here's the character introduction.
I think there's at least better of that, or more. That's a good sentence that I just said. I think there's better introduction to Batman, or it'll feel better. But like I was saying, with like the lack of continuity with this show, it's kind of, out of all of them, meant to be the one that can most be just up for syndication and just playing reruns of random episodes, and it doesn't matter where you hop in, kind of a deal.
Okay.
So like, it's not going to feel as narratively driven, I guess, as all the other shows are going to feel.
Awesome.
So there's definitely going to be like, okay, so this is the first episode, and you're probably still going to feel like characters are there.
Okay.
But not. I think there is a little bit better of a thing to that. But yeah, here is where I would want to. This isn't going to be applicable for this first episode because it's the only episode we've watched so far. But I want to build a top 10 episodes of the DCAU for both of us. Like, we each have our individual lists.
This is my number one.
Yes, me too. I think I'd say it's number 1 through 10. I mean, if I'm being honest, it's the lowest, it's the worst episode and the best episode. But so next episode it would be, okay, was that better or worse? And then once we get to past 10 episodes, you're going to start pushing things out of the top 10. Ooh. And then we get into other shows, and you're going to start pushing Batman episodes out for Superman episodes potentially and stuff like that. So
that's a lot of weight.
So yeah.
Do you already have a number 1?
Probably.
Oh.
But I'm trying to be as non-biased about this as possible. I'm trying to like approach it as we're watching it as like, okay, because like I said, a lot of these I haven't seen in a while, so I think there's going to be a lot of like, oh, I forgot about that cool thing. That was cooler. Oh, Cat in the Claw Part 2 was cooler than Part 1 because of blah, blah, blah or something. But I don't remember which. I couldn't tell you anything that happens in Cat in the Claw Part 2 except maybe 3 things.
I could tell you what happens.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, there's a continuation. What do you think is going to happen in Part 2 that we're not going to watch for a month?
Oh, I mean, should I? Is that a thing that do you want me to actually jump into it, or we should just no, we should keep that for the beginning of the next.
You think so? Okay.
I don't know. So I imagine it's going to be all wrapped up nice and neat in a predictable 90s package.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Keep the status quo for Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yeah, I think Catwoman and Batman are going to kiss again, and I bet it's going to be initiated by Batman, which is probably going to make it a little bit rapier. Not like this sword, but like, never mind.
What do you think is going to happen with the Red Claw?
I think she's going to get put in a cage.
Okay. I can answer those, but I'm not going to.
I think she's going to get put in a cage. I think that the
do you think because of the irony of uncaging the animals?
I think they're going to not succeed in putting up their big thing. This probably something's going to happen to the underground base, and I think the Bruce Wayne's going to make the
Bruce Wayne.
The Bruce Wayne is going to make the sanctuary happen. I bet it's going to be like, oh, how about that date? And he's going to take her to the animal sanctuary. Okay. And she'll be like, oh, maybe I do like you as much as my alter ego likes your alter ego that I don't know is the thing.
Yeah.
I also think it's really funny that her alter ego, or she likes, how do I words? I think it's kind of funny that
Catwoman.
That Catwoman has a crush on Batman and
Selena Kyle is coming around to liking Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, but immediately she's just turned off. She's like, this guy's a fucking square.
Yeah. Kind of weird how he grabbed my arm there. I'm not so sure I like that.
Yeah. I also love the fact that Catwoman's she's got this cat that she just puts super in harm's
dangerous
way
situations
all the time. But then she's got these other 6 cats that just hang out in her living room all day.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder, it's preferential treatment there.
Yeah, the one that's named a terrorist group is the one that's named ISIS. She carries around with her to fight terrorists. Why couldn't they have predicted that in 1992? Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
Get us back
so
on
the
track.
Cat in the Claw Part 1.
Yes.
Number 1 on both of our lists.
Yes,
We are
by
in complete
far.
agreement so far. Okay.
Yeah.
The next
Write
episode
this down. I've got a chalkboard. Remember the whole...
we do. Actually, yeah, I was going to say maybe we could, unless you need to erase that eventually, but we can, when we switch around and go watch the next episode, we could write down our lists that are just indefinitely there.
Yeah.
If you never erase them, because otherwise we'll be like, I don't remember what was on the list.
I think, we can make that happen.
Okay. I'm realizing now, looking at my notes for the next episode is the first produced episode.
Oh!
So you're about to find out all your hearts
Oh my
and
God.
hearts and dreams. That's how
I just
the
can't
saying
wait to
goes.
figure out my hearts and dreams.
Hopes and minds of the American people. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the title of this next episode, and as the cliffhanger for this podcast episode before we sign off is your prediction of what this episode is going to be based on the title, like we did at the start of this one.
It's going to be the introduction of Batman.
This episode is called On Leather Wings. What are we thinking?
It's going to be a kink-themed Batman episode.
What's your serious prediction? I mean, that's what's happening. I mean, I guess, okay, so format, if you want to think of like how to attack these predictions, maybe focus on like, okay, so keywords in the title, and also
On.
Yeah. Also, what what villain?
Leather.
What villain do you think will be associated with this?
Wings? Well, it's probably say the Penguin, even though
Okay.
their wings are like basically useless.
That's very true. Are they leather?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Is there a super villain? Is there a villain? Is there Batman? Is there DC villain with leather?
Leather power? Leather vision? You can see leather? I guess you'll find out, huh?
I feel like, so if I'm completely like doing away with the title, I would just say that it's likely to be the Batman thing we always see, where like Bruce Wayne's parents are killed and he's like a kid in the alley, and you're like, oh, this is the origin of the Batman.
So that's where your head's going, is because this is the real first episode, that
Yes.
it's going to be like a who's Batman, why should I care kind of a
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
But if I'm like starting to like put together the pieces of like how this cartoon works,
After viewing one episode.
after viewing one episode and just like really like shot in the dark, yeah, I think it's probably, I mean, no, because I guess it wouldn't be like bats, I don't know, maybe it will be the origin of Batman, but
Okay.
however, the last one did talk about the villain in it, so
It's not, I mean, there's some pretty out there titles that aren't going to give you any clues of who the bad guy is.
is this one of them?
No.
Okay.
But I liked your penguin guess.
Leather,
You got
leather.
wings, I understand.
Okay.
And the Batman, being the first episode, is giving you a little bit of an insight on what your prediction might be. But yeah. Let's just stop there, because we're about to find out anyway.
Yeah, okay.
You listening to the podcast aren't going to find out for a week, but we're going to find out in like 5 minutes.
This time travel
Yeah.
thing is nuts.
All right, so thanks for listening, everybody. I guess
Yes.
we've been the Yoppie dudes. We need to come up with an actual name for the
Okay.
podcast, because that's going to stick and it doesn't make any sense.
We should like pause this
Uh-huh.
and figure out a name and then do an introduction as if we had this name figured out this whole time.
No. Yeah, so you can find us at DCAU Watchtower on social media. I don't know if I should make a separate social media or something for just this podcast or whatever, but it's going to be on the PODTOWER YouTube channel. We might put this inaugural episode on Watchtower Database also to kind of get people over to the PODTOWER channel.
Yes, come listen to this absurdity. We're going to clean this up. I think we're going to have a good thing.
Yeah. Yes.
We
If you felt
generally-
like this was a little sporadic and kind of all over the place,
It's just like
our-
episode 13.
Yeah. Yeah, this is episode, by episode 1 of this podcast, we'll have it figured out. So, yeah, patreon.com/DCAU Watchtower if you want to help support the channel and not Brian at all, because he's not getting any money from this.
Yeah.
Although maybe that'll change if this gets popular or something.
I just want my $5 a month back.
For what?
I don't know.
For being Mark Thundercroc.
I don't know.
Yeah. Go
That's
over
what I
to
get paid.
patreon.com where Brian donates money to himself. Yeah. Yeah. So, Watchtower Database on YouTube, PodTower on YouTube. That's where these are going to be. I guess we'll see you in the next episode of insert name of podcast here that we will eventually figure out.
Oh, I have faith. We're going to do it.
Did I have anything else I needed to say before the end of the episode? We placed it on the top 10. We said the plugs. We're going to sign off into the outro, and that's it. Okay.
Is that the outro button?
It can be. You have to turn it down. This has been presented by the Yoppie Dudes. That's going to get worn out real fast. Thanks for listening, everybody.
You're the best.
Bye.
But who is going to save you?